Hello. So, as I'm taking time to rest, I all of a sudden felt the need to share what's going on in my life for myself, maybe for someone else out there. Um, I ended up having that second trial, the court for the child custody, and again, no decision was made by the judge. And a third trial was set for October 1st. So Davy will have been in school for a few weeks by that point. And some of the more terms were starting to be discussed of what it is that his dad wants and what it is that I want. And I had realized in that moment, oh, there's some more stuff I guess I need to think about of what do I want? What do I want my life to look like? And Drew and his lawyer had so very neatly detailed, had this whole plan of everything, all the terms they want. And I started to realize, oh, there's some things in there that I'm like, and something that like, not, no. And, but anyways, so then there was no decision made, and that means that joint custody is still what's happening. I asked Drew again afterwards if he would reconsider just dropping the case and we just continue doing joint custody and go to mediation, and he said no again. He wants to fight for full custody still. So I was like, all right. And I realized that just more time has been granted. Again, like, our case is not difficult. Neither parent is, a danger to Davy, or ourselves, or to the society. And if anything, it's just that I think this judge feels in one of these pickles of like, these are two good parents, you know. If they could figure out all this between themselves, that would be best for the child. But in Oregon, right now, the law is that you have to voluntarily agree to joint custody. It cannot be ordered. It can be highly recommended and suggested. But if one parent doesn't want it, then it has to be that one parent has sole custody. If they take it to court, I mean. Or like upon divorce, something like that. So it's interesting, for a moment there, there's a little bee going around sniffing me. It's tickling me. So it got me to thinking again, well, Grace, what do you want then? You don't have to only make decisions because of what Drew does or doesn't want. You still get to live your life how you want, even whatever the judge decides. You truly get to decide whatever you want your life to look like. And regarding like the outcome of what the judge decides, if we still end up going to trial that day, unless we get pushed off the docket, or we do get to see the judge, or maybe Drew changes his mind and wants to drop the trial, I don't know. But I can decide my outlook on the outcome, whatever happens. And, admittedly, at times, I get back into my worry or my fear state, my fear body, especially because this is with Davy, and I love him so much. He is a part of me. He's part of my heart. Even though he is his own being, and he has his own soul, he has his own life in a way, like life path set before him. And Drew and I just happen to be along for the ride right now, get to be his guardians while he's young and vulnerable. Um, but inevitably, he's gonna live whatever life he wants when he's old enough to be able to leave us. Or even before he's able to leave us, because I believe in that it is not my duty to mold him. It is my it is an opportunity I get to have to create a sanctuary here for him, to be able to learn about who he is, in order to learn about his own expressions, and we find a way to coexist together. And there's some aspects of mine and his personality that clash at times. I'm still talking about Davy here. And and over time, I'm someone who can adapt. I'm not super rigid, but I also have like ways about me. But inevitably, I'd like win-win situations, and that's including with my son. Um, and as it is now, I'm someone who is much more. I like to go with the flow of things. Perhaps it's the feminine within me. It's the Sagittarius and the Gemini within me. It is perhaps a rebellion to my own upbringing. It's many factors. And it's in the time and space where we can do such things in a way. I guess we could really do that in any time, but right now, especially with like this time in history and with COVID and my stubbornness to lead my life the way I want to. That's the kind of life I like to lead, where we move with the flow versus everything's like time. And some people that works great for them, but for me, I enjoy flow and openness and possibility for expansion, and that includes expanding time and experiences, having them in an organic way that they need to grow and happen. Now, I'm also an impatient person. Sometimes when I know I want something, I want it now. And I'm still figuring out how to navigate that need in me, that restlessness and impatience. With regards to this trial, I'm actually pleased with the extensions that have been happening, so that things aren't rushed, because this is really quite a process going through court. Having to detail out to someone else, to several other people, what it is that you want to do with your life and your child's life, and what you're detailing out all your intentions, like writing it down, proposing it, and to the point of like feeling like you need to fight for it. It's not an unfamiliar thing to me to feel like I need to fight for what it is that I want. However, I'm getting more and more to a place where I'm less feeling like I need to fight and defend, but just matter-of-factly state how I live and how I intend to live, and with regards to, especially with Davy, I'm feeling less and less of a need to like prove to someone that I'm something that I'm not. Like, I am what I am. And I have no shame about the way that I am. I also am human. I am never going to be quote unquote perfect to other people in terms of living life the way they think I should be living my life, or the way Davy should be living his life. But I am authentic to myself, And I live in a lot of, what's the word? Perhaps unconventional ways. There's another word that I was thinking of, but unconventional is what comes to mind. Anyway, so that's what's been going on with that. And as Davey's going to be entering school the second week of September, I'm finding that I'm getting excited about that. I am thrilled at that new about that new adventure. I'm so like I'm beside myself, I guess, as the way that Davy is developing and blossoming before me, before my eyes, as to who this little person is and who they're becoming. He's a neat little guy. Again, sometimes, but like, I enjoy him so much. And to get to appreciate another person who's in a way very different than me, and just get to coexist with this little person. Half week on, and then half week he's gone, and then I'm with myself again. It's such a bizarre experience, something like I've never would have known before. I having that appreciation of watching someone become. You can have this appreciation now, or now. I mean, you can, but I have started to have this kind of appreciation for adults that are around me as well. But with adults, oftentimes like that, now that becoming process that is always happening every single day. We are always becoming. It can be more nuanced and more subtle when you're older, and you already have like some ideas about the world. And sometimes there are people like myself who come into their late 20s and they're like, I'm going to challenge everything. And then in their or right before they turn 30, they have a spiritual awakening like I did. And they're like, I'm going to change it all. And I'm going to rediscover who another way I could have been, had I been born into another environment in a way. Like, I'm going to be my parent now. I'm going to create that sanctuary for myself in this world. And I'm going to rediscover all the possibilities that I can while I have the time and the ability to do that in this existence. And I'm going to do the same for my son. I'm going to provide him with one set of possibilities, but I'll always let him know you can really do whatever you want. You don't have to like at all any of my rules. We just need to find a way to work together for now while we live together, and then take care of the space that we have, and work on our dynamic between each other, our relationship, so that we can coexist peacefully and happily, and with openness. And that includes that I have to also be open to Davy's flow and Davy's even ideas, because he has many, and a lot of times they're really great. The only time I ever get like hung up on what I want to do and I need to do is because of stress, or because I come up with these ideas of like, there's this and this and this and I have to tend to, and I don't have help. And then I'm like, yeah, but Grace, you still have a choice that you can just go like chill out for a moment, soothe your energy so you can get back into a place of openness instead of restriction. But even if you're in that place of restriction, you can work within that and open it back up again. It's not like a forever thing. Just like when a storm comes by, it doesn't mean you're locked in your house. You can choose to be inside your house, or you can choose to go on a drive, or you can choose to walk in the rain. You can choose to feel how you want about really anything. When we have heavy experiences happen in our life, like this child custody thing, admittedly has been very heavy. It has pushed me to my limits and expanded the limits. They're not like these like hard walls that I can't budge. It's like this really, it's like rubber, it feels like. But rubber that can be, it's not like tough, like you can soften it and move it out, and then wherever it's sitting, you can move the earth it's sitting in too, and you could just keep expanding it, or you can cut little holes in it. You could, what it is, but as you're doing that, that can be work. That's the work. These are where, and then you start feeling it like in your muscles, in your back, and in fatigue. It makes you hungry. It makes you frustrated, perhaps, impatient, and then all of a sudden, proud, oh, this process of growing pains. As you expand your body, your heart, your mind, I was saying. And then I saw this little seedling floating around in the movie Avatar, but with the blue people Avatar, that Cameron film, and there's the little seedling floating around from the tree. That's what I thought of. So, and I was listening to a really nice video yesterday from Teal Swan, where she was talking about 365 days of self-love, being able to, how to quickly get to enlightenment. And it was so simple. It was not something huge. It wasn't something that was this ritualistic thing, really. It was just simply asking yourself the question, much like what would Jesus do bracelets at the time, in the 90s, I think it was, or early 2000s, WWJD. It's more, she didn't say it like that, but that's how I thought of it. But her thing is the question you ask yourself, to always bring yourself back to your intuition, because that never leaves you. Ever. Even if you cover it up with all the fears, anxieties, rules of life, rules that we made up of life, there's this, your intuition, it's always there. It never can stop or cease while you're living. I don't know what happens afterwards. And so you ask yourself this question, because that gets in touch with your intuition always. What would someone who loves themselves do? I think that's how she said it. And so it's even something, it could be for big things, it could be for little things, it could be for mundane, whatever things. She had made the example of if you ask yourself, am I going to buy apples or oranges today? And you say, what would someone who loves themselves do? And you, all of a sudden, you just get this little, apples. Or it's when people do that whole thing of okay, I'm going to put an apple in one hand and a banana in my other hand, and I'm going to put them behind my back. I'm going to switch it up. And then, because they're I don't know which one I want. And I'm okay, I'll put them behind my back. And then they have to choose a hand. And you know how that often happens, where someone then's okay, I choose this hand, and they bring out the apple, and then the person's oh, actually, I wanted the banana. It's well, then that's the one you should have. You don't have to have this one. If all of a sudden something in you finally is I was really actually hoping for that other one, even though I didn't know that before. So this is and that can be the same thing of bigger questions of, am I gonna work on doing this bill right now? I'm in a hyped up, ramped up state, worrisome state. Am I gonna do this bill right now, or am I gonna go and sit and watch I don't know, a YouTube video or a show? And if all of a sudden within you it's Go do the show. All of a sudden, there's going to be that worry voice comes to you. Yeah, but you're procrastinating. Just get it over with, and that will make you feel better. But then there's like the other part that's like, I'm so ramped up and anxious right now. I don't want to be talking to anyone about having to do this bill right now. It literally can wait half an hour. Because no matter when I do it in the day today, it'll get done today. I'm just going to go enjoy myself for a moment first, calm myself. And some people are like, no, I'm going to do that after I do the bill. That feels really good. And like, they just go take care of the bill, and they're like, and then you're just going to go, and they feel like, oh, it's this lovely reward. You win either way. You got both done. And then there's this other really beautiful aspect of sometimes it's not even deciding to do anything in particular for a particular outcome. It's just going with the flow of like, I don't know why, but all of a sudden I feel a need to just lay down on the floor. Or I feel the need to, while you're driving, you're like, I want to turn right. Why? I just do. I just want to go right. And then you all of a sudden start having these like beautiful experiences that happen that would never have happened if you didn't turn right or you didn't lay down, or lie down. And like what often happens for me is like, I will, something's like, I'm trying to go to the store, but then I'm like, I gotta take care of this, but I gotta do this. I want to do this. Oh, now I have to go to the bathroom. And now I'm like, I got distracted by a text message. I don't want to answer that. So it takes me so much longer to finally go to the store. But finally, I'm like, okay, I got time to go to the store. I feel like it's time now. I go to the store. I end up interacting with someone that I would not have seen if I had come earlier. Because that was the time they were going to be there. I didn't know that. I didn't plan it. And then I end up having such a sweet, beautiful experience from that. And sometimes it's just to have the sweet, beautiful experience, and then you're like sitting in that warmth of like, oh, that was nice to connect with someone. Sometimes it's like they all of a sudden say something. It's like, I needed a sign about something totally different happening in my life, and I needed a sign. But you're not thinking of that in that moment because you're just going with the flow of things, not really thinking like, I hope I find a sign at the grocery store. It's like you thought about the sign. You may have had some intention of like, I need it now, I need it in this way. And then finally, like, you kind of forget about it because you get distracted. So you briefly like let it go because you don't put energy on that like, want, need. You just start doing other stuff. You get distracted, and then all of a sudden here the sign pops up. Boop. And or like someone literally says something that's very relevant and specific, and you're like, that's weird. Like, but I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in these happy occurrences that happen because they're meant to happen. You are lining yourself up with that. Life can be very beautiful like that, even when rough, freaky stuff happens. Like recently, a very frightening thing happened to me, an incident that really shook me. I made the decisions. It wasn't like it was all that I was some passive person or passive participant and some victim in what happened to me. But little did I know what was going to happen in that way. I was not prepared at all. And I've embraced that experience much more quickly than I would have when I was younger, where I would have been tormented for a very long time. Now I have more of this like, like I still had my heavy emotions about it. I was really shook up. I was shook, but not shook in like the nice way. I was shook in like I was so sad. I was very confused. I was terrified. I was with anxiety, pain, physical and emotional pain from that experience. And yeah, I was like, I learned a lot from that. It's like it was whether it was going to happen or not. Because, like, I could have very well made it not happen had I made different choices. But I made those choices, and it happened. And now it just is. And so I can't, like, keep thinking, like, if I had done this, it would have been different. Like, that just doesn't serve me unless it's, like, helping me to expand my mind as to, well, why would you have done something differently? Look into that, because what is what is the important information you need to know about yourself there in order to, if you had made those different decisions? What are you learning about yourself, Grace? And what are you learning about with other people? Because right now, a big thing that I focus on is not blaming other people for the way that my life is, or the way that I feel, or the traumas I've had, the wounds that I have. I'm coming more into a space of learning how to understand other people and why they made the decisions they did when I was um, in relation to them, or how you say, when I was connecting with them, whether it's like my parents or randomly very small moments in time in my life with other family, um, or with friends or teachers, boyfriends, partners, my husband, my son, a stranger, other children. Um, what is it that I can realize that as they are their own human and their own soul on their own path in life, how can I remove myself from that? Whatever they do with their life, it's makes me have to uh, it's like I am it affects my life. I mean, it will affect my life because it'll cause change or contrast, but I have my own stuff to work through that's irrelevant to them and their path. It's just they and I came together at one point to cause experience to happen, and then they're sorting through their own stuff about themselves. They may react or respond to me in certain ways, but it's really nothing to do with me, and the same the other way around. And so I'm also learning this idea of, like, not trying to fix someone because, or save someone from themselves. It's a hard one, especially for me. But I'm learning it more and more to let go and trust in that I do not need to be spiritually, emotionally arrogant in that way, or like their parent in that way. But what I can instead do is show respect and love to them. I can still have boundaries. I don't have to have them in my life anymore if it has become like something that is just so incompatible, or like perhaps toxic dynamic. Um, I and I definitely don't want to humor someone to have in my life. Like, if I really feel like if it's time for us to part, I will have us part. But I still have love for them, just as my own ex-husband, or with Drew. I don't need to be the one to try and cause any change in his life, just as he does not need to be the one telling me the way my life needs to be. No one needs to be doing that for anyone. I don't need to do that for Davy. Drew will learn later on, probably later than sooner, or maybe sooner rather than later. It's just really up to Davy at that point, how he can't cause Davy to be the way he would like Davy to be. Davy will. I can already see it in him. He's a very strong-minded, forward-moving person, Davy. He knows what he wants, and he likes to go and get it. I love that about him. And you know, he's like the kind of kid that all of a sudden will just start dancing in the middle of the street or the grocery store or in the house because he hears like a beat. Or he comes up with one in his own mind, or maybe I just start like making a beat happen, and then he just all of a sudden is like, the music, take me. He just goes. And and anyway, so, and as people, when there's certain people where I want them to like get on board with my program, I'm reminded and humbled and sobered again to like, I cannot make and help others see the way their life could be to be with me. It's like, Grace, let it go. Just like with Davy and Drew and a certain person that I like have been like really into. Like, I'm trying to force, in a way at times, in varying degrees with each different person, depending on how close they are to me, how I want the life to look. I can still have my desires of what I would like to see in terms of coexisting with other people and relating to other people. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be able to change the way someone else wants to lead their life. Ever, and I shouldn't try to do that. That's where I will just meet more suffering within myself. And perhaps as well causing in someone else, like, I don't respect the way your life should be. And that is not what I want to do, ultimately. It is not for me to do. It's like the path of least resistance to allow someone to just be themselves while I direct my own life and find ways to embrace life in the way I want to embrace life for me. And I get to choose who I want in my life or not, and I can keep trying to smash a round peg into a square hole with someone, and I just kind of fuck things up. It can happen, but it really, it's a lot of resistance, hurts, can be done, but it really is like, I'd rather not do that in order to get what I want to make someone else be what it is that I want them to be, so I can be happy. No. And then happiness and peace, like, these look so different to every single person on this planet, whether you're an adult or a child, or an animal, or I don't know, anything else that cares about such feelings, emotions, consciousness kind of thoughts. I don't know even if animals feel that or not, but it seems like animals go for what they want. They just go by instinct, we call it, which is perhaps as intuition for us, instinct. And they don't care if, like, all of a sudden, like, I just want to lay down in the grass and roll around in this cat piss I just found that's delicious. I don't care if my dick's hanging out because I'm a male creature, or like all my teats are out in my vagina because I'm a female creature. Like, I just want to roll around in this cat piss right now and like, no. So, anyways, it's my update. That's where I'm going to leave it for now. Thanks.